Welcome to Gamma Radio with your host, Gil Mancha. This is my chronological discussion of the strongest one there is, The Incredible Hulk. Disclaimer, I will be actively getting and collecting issues as we go, and I'm trying to only cover issues that I have a physical copy of or are in a collected edition. I'm going to try to stray away from digital because I love physical media, but the Marvel Unlimited app would be a great way to keep up with the podcast. We'll of course start with his original self-titled comic. There's a few others, some TV shows, movies, and even some video games we can discuss. And trust me, I'd love to discuss those games down the line. Be sure to hit the follow button on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or preferred platform to get episodes as soon as they drop. While you're there, please leave a review so the show can be recommended to other comic book fans. In today's episode, we're covering our first non-Hulk-centric comic featuring the Jay Giant as a guest character in Fantastic Four Volume 1, Issue 12, The Incredible Hulk. The issue was released on December 10th, 1962. Links will be in the podcast notes. Let's take a look back at what else was happening that day in history.
The Duck can't cover, sports fans. He's hulking out.
The best-selling single in the US was Big Girls Don't Cry by The Four Seasons, and in the UK was Return to Sender by Elvis Presley. The top of the box office was Mutiny on the Bounty. Children and teens were watching TV shows like Courageous Cat and Minute Mouse, The Flintstones, Mr. Ed, and The Jetsons. If you're a child, you're likely to be playing with toys like Wooly Willy, Crater Critters, The Ken Doll, and Rock-a-Stack. Big Girls Don't Cry by The Four Seasons is a rock and roll, pop and doo-wop song. The song was written by Bob Crewe and Bob Gaudio. According to Gaudio, he was dozing off while watching a John Payne, Rhonda Fleming, Ronald Reagan movie, Tennessee's Partner, while he heard Payne's character slap Fleming in the face. After the slap, Fleming's character replied, "Big Girls Don't Cry." Then he wrote the line on a scrap piece of paper, fell asleep, and wrote the song the next morning. However, the line didn't actually appear in that film. According to Crewe, he was dozing off in his Manhattan home with the TV on while he awoke to Payne manhandling Fleming in Slightly Scarlet, a 1956 film noir based on the James M. Cain story. This time the line is actually in the movie. The song hit number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100 on November 17, 1962, and stayed there for 5 weeks. It also made number 1 for 3 weeks on Billboard's Rhythm and Blues survey. In 2015, Big Girls Don't Cry by The Four Seasons was inducted into the Grammy Hall of Fame. Return to Sender by Elvis Presley is a rock and roll children's music, rockabilly, pop music, vocal easy listening country song released on October 2nd, 1962. The song was written by Winfield Scott and Otis Blackwell to suit Presley's rock and roll musical style. The singer laments his relationship with a spiteful partner. The song peaked at number 1 on the UK singles chart, was a UK Christmas number 1, as well as the first Christmas number 1 in the Irish singles chart. In the US, though, it hit number 2 right behind its number 1 song, Big Girls Don't Cry. It did hit number 1 on the rival Cashbox and Music Vendor singles charts and was certified platinum by the RIAA for sales in excess of 1 million units in the US. Big Girls Don't Cry almost sounds whiny in the way that they sing it, but it's pretty catchy. I will say this, the Elvis song benefits by being sung by Elvis, which is already a plus for me. It also says more, with Elvis basically telling a full story, whereas the lyrics for the former is mostly Big Girls Don't Cry, which is what I think made it so catchy. It's the repetition of it all. For that reason, I think Return to Sender is a better song, but I'll sooner re-listen to Big Girls Don't Cry. Mutiny on the Bounty is a 1962 adventure drama that tells a heavily fictionalized story of the real-life mutiny led by Fletcher Christian against William Blais, captain of the HMAV Bounty, in 1789. It was based on the novel of the same name by Charles Nornhoff and James Norman Hall. It's actually the second film based on the novel, with the first having the same name but being released in 1935. The film was the 5th highest grossing film of 1962, grossing $13,680,000 domestically, earning $7.4 million in the US theatrical rentals by the end of the year. All that said, it needed to make $30 million to recoup its budget of $19 million, so it was a flop despite having done well in most other metrics. The movie won the following awards: the Golden Reed Awards, Best Sounding Edit, Feature Film, International Film Music Critics Association's Award for Best New re-released, or recording of an existing score, and the Laurel Awards for Top Song with Top Drama getting 4th place. This movie is available to stream for free on Tubi, and you can buy it on Fandango at Home, Prime Video, YouTube, Google TV, and Apple TV. We've already covered Courageous Cat and Minute Mouse, The Flintstones, and Mr. Ed in previous episodes, so since you're keeping up with the podcast, you already know all about them. The Jetsons is a 1962 American animated sitcom produced by Hanna-Barbera that aired for 3 seasons. Meet George Jetson. Just those words will prompt viewers of a certain age to join in singing the show's catchy theme song. This popular primetime cartoon show features the Jetson family living in a utopian future. People live in housing in the sky, work a 3-day work week, drive aero cars that look like flying saucers, and have incredible conveniences that leave them with plenty of leisure time. George, his homemaker wife Jane, their children Judy and Elroy also have a robotic maid named Rosie and a talking dog named Astro. Airing first on ABC in the 1960s, the series was resurrected in the 1980s with more episodes produced for syndication. You can stream it on Hulu, Disney, and buy it on YouTube, Fandango at Home, Prime Video, and Apple TV. We've already covered the Wooly Willy and Ken doll in previous episodes, so since you're keeping up with the podcast, you already know all about them. Crater Critters was a set of 8 plastic toys that were made by an Australian company in 1959, Rosenheim and Lippmann, and were later given away inside Kellogg's cereal boxes in 1968 and again in 1972. They were advertised as friendly bug-eyed creatures from the craters of outer space. Produced in 8 different colors, their names were Kingly, Kindly, Kooky, Curly, Creepy, Cleverly, Cranky, and Crawler. They seem to be monocolored toys with no articulation. Rock-a-Stack is a toy by Fisher-Price in 1960 with colorful rings that have to be placed in order of size into a tapered pole mounted on a rocking base. When correctly stacked, the hollow rings follow a Roy G. Biv color progression. It was designed to teach younger children about colors and help them develop their hand-eye coordination and shape perception. That's a taste of what the world was like when the Fantastic Four issue 12 was released.
Ow, I hurt myself changing this tire.
I'm reading this thanks to Marvel Epic Collection, The Incredible Hulk Volume 1, Man or Monster, but it's also available via Marvel Epic Collection Fantastic Four Volume 1, the world's greatest comic magazine, and honestly several others, but those are probably the best to buy physically. If you prefer a black and white style, then the Essential Series Fantastic Four Volume 1 works, but that series has ended, so you'll have to go to another form where that one leaves off if you want to keep reading Fantastic Four comics. Notably, Man or Monster is one of the few Hulk collections with this issue in it, as it is mostly in Fantastic Four collected versions, which honestly makes sense. The story was written and edited by Stan Lee, penciled by Jack Kirby, colored by Stan Goldberg, inked by Dick Ayers, and lettered by R.T. Simic. This is arguably one of the first Marvel crossover titles. The same month this one came out, the Fantastic Four also made an appearance in Amazing Spider-Man #1. The cover shows Hulk with his back against a wall in a cave as he's hiding for the perfect time to strike as the Fantastic Four look for him. While flying, Johnny says, "The Hulk is nearby, I can feel it." Meanwhile, Hulk thinks, "Another second and I'll destroy them." The overall color and background of the cover continues the gray of the cave. Under the Fantastic Four title and above the Hulk's head is a yellow box that says, "At last, the Fantastic Four meet the Hulk." At the bottom in a red box it says, "A book-length epic. Need we say more?" Notably, the About This Issue section on the Marvel Unlimited app is blank, but the facsimile edition is filled and says, "Continue a facsimile collection of the foundational adventures of Marvel's first family." And the early days of the FF were never more eventful than their faithful first encounter with the Incredible Hulk. General Thunderbolt Ross wants the help of the fabulous foursome in his relentless vendetta against the rampaging Hulk, and Reed Richards' updated Fantasticar might help them find their target. A rivalry for the ages about to form between the Thing and the Hulk. But can Dr. Bruce Banner help the FF identify the real danger? It's one of the all-time great Marvel comic books, boldly represented in its original form, ads and all. Reprinting Fantastic Four, 1961, issue 12. Marvel is reprinting the first 12 issues of Fantastic Four as they originally appeared. After the break, we'll summarize the issue. What it do, guys? Mandrame here, and if you like board games, especially deck building games, you should check out at Team_Thunder on YouTube. There we have unboxings and games of Legendary, a Marvel deck building game, the DC deck building game, the Transformers deck building game, and many more. That's where you can find VODs for this, Accelerated Visions, a Spider-Man 2099 podcast, and Water Damage, an Aquaman podcast where you can directly leave a comment and we can discuss the issues.
No, not the Hulk. Not now.
Part 1. At the top of the page, we see a yellow arrow with words in it. You are about to witness, in vivid detail, all the spellbinding events that will lead up to the explosive moment when the Fantastic Four meet the Incredible Hulk. As a well-dressed, sophisticated audience leaves a city symphony auditorium, none suspect the famous figure who's in their midst. We see Alicia holding onto a disguised thing. "Oh, Ben, wasn't Beethoven's Fifth the most beautiful symphony you've ever heard?" He responds, "If you say so, kid. Personally, I get my kicks from low-town New Orleans jazz." Suddenly, an older man points to some soldiers nearby. "Look, dear, a company of infantrymen, here in New York." In doing so, he accidentally knocks off the thing's hat and sunglasses. "Hey, look out who you're poking." Not realizing who it is, the older man responds, "Don't raise your voice to me, my good man. I was merely trying to see those troops and... A monster!" The thing gets up in his face. "Oh, now you're insulting me also, huh?" With one hand, he grabs the man by both feet and lifts him into the air. "Here, you want to see the soldier boys? Take a good look." Alicia tries to stop the thing. "Ben, what are you doing?" The soldiers in turn notice. One says, "Did you see that character lift that guy up like he was a feather?" A second adds, "And he put him down again, gentle as a lamb." A third warns, "Hey, he's strong enough to be the one we're looking for. Surround him." Another says, "Don't let him get away." A group of about 13 troops start to surround the thing who's at a street corner near a fire hydrant. Alicia calls out, "Ben, what is it? What's happening?" The thing puts an arm out to shield her. "Stay back, Alicia. I'll handle it." One of the soldiers says, "Careful of the girl. It looks like she's blind." As the soldiers are around the thing, one says, "Holy Hannah, he tore the hydrant clear out of the street." Another tackles him. "Let's rush him." The thing says, "Are you guys all nuts?" Brushing his attacker carelessly aside, the mighty thing hurls himself upon the mighty jet of water, causing to spray in all directions with concentrated force, scattering the nearby troops. "Maybe this'll cool you guys off." We see a soldier on one knee pointing a device that has a backpack and another soldier holding the back part. "Quick, nail him with that specially prepared bazooka. Point blank range." A third soldier says, "Now, while he's in the open." What's shot looks like a cylinder with metal rope coming out of it. As the thing takes off his disguise, he says, "Okay, who else is looking for a fight? I don't know what's going on, but somebody better have a good explanation pretty darn quick." He turns to see the cylinder flying at him. "Holy cow, what's that?" The ropes entangle him, immobilizing the thing. From off screen, "Good shot, a direct hit." Another adds, "Those special flexible steel bands ought to hold him." The thing is on the ground, tied up, trying to get up. "They got me all hog-tied." "Well, I ain't gonna stay this way." He breaks free. "What do they think they're doing? Playing with kids?" He gets up and readies himself. "Alright, wise guys, the fun's over. Now it's my turn to start getting rough." The soldiers, now with gas masks, have just shot the thing with something, and now there's gas around him. "He broke the steel bands. He's attacking." Another soldier responds, "Steady. These gas shells will stop anything that lives." We see the thing in the midst of the gas unmoving. "We did it! He's staggering!" "Here comes the captain," someone says. "Drop those weapons, Sergeant. Recall your men. You've made a terrible mistake." Minutes later, Alicia's holding a recovering thing. "Ben, oh Ben, my darling, are you alright?" He's got his hand over his forehead. "Huh? Oh sure. Takes more than a whiff of gas to put the thing out for the count." The captain says, "My apologies, sir. My men mistook you for the Hulk. There's a national alarm out for him." The thing gets up and tries to advance on the captain. "You trying to tell me you thought that brainless lump of lard was me? Of all the crummy..." Alicia stops him. "Ben, don't. He's trying to apologize. Please, Ben." Taken aback, the captain says, Can you control him, ma'am?" "Better stay back, man, till he cools off." We see the thing and Alicia walking down the street. As if being the thing ain't bad enough, now those lame brains are mistaking me for the Hulk. Bah, come on, kid. I'll take you home. After leaving Alicia and reaching the lobby of the Baxter building, we see the Hulk standing in front of the elevator, looking around his waistband. Blast it, I must have dropped the electronic thingamajig that opens our special elevator door. The thing then tears off the doors of the elevator. Well, I ain't in the mood to go back and look for it. We've been needing a new door anyway. We then see a far shot of the thing climbing the elevator cable. Without the special key, the elevator won't come down to the street floor. But that ain't gonna stop me. It's only about 35 floors to the top. and a few minutes later we see the Thing entering from his first-person point of view. Ablaze, Johnny says, "Well, well, here comes Loverboy. How was your date with Alicia, Romeo?" Reed says, "Knock it off, Johnny. The Thing doesn't look like he's in the mood to kid around." Sue asks, "What's wrong, Ben? Care to tell us what happened?" The Thing finally answers, "You're darn tootin', I'll tell you what happened. It's a lucky thing I didn't smash a few heads together." A short time later, we see the Thing sitting on the couch with his left leg crossed over the other, having just finished the tale. And that's it. Can you imagine those lunkheads thinking I was the Hulk? Next they'll be mistaking me for Frankenstein. Reed reacts, "It's quite the coincidence, Ben. We just had a call concerning the Hulk." Sue adds, "Yes, a General Thunderbolt Ross is coming to see us about him." The Thing leans forward in his seat. "Oh yeah? Well, I don't even want to hear that name mentioned again. Heck, how do we even know there even is a Hulk? I never saw him, and neither did you," Reed responds. "But General Ross claims he did." Sue goes to the door. "There's the buzzer. It must be the General now. I'll deactivate the entrance locks." Upon meeting, we see Ross is towered over by the Fantastic Four and the soldier he brought with him. He shakes Reed's hand. "Glad to meet you, my boy. I'm General Ross, and that's my aide, Captain Nelson. Where can we talk in private?" Reed answers, "I have no secrets from my 3 associates, General. We can talk freely right here." With a cigar in his mouth, Ross pulls out a paper out of his bag. "Ahem. Heard what happened before, Mr. Thing. I'd like to explain. You see, an alarm has gone out to catch the Hulk at all costs. And the one way to recognize him is by his superhuman strength." The Thing turns to the General and points to him. "Superhuman strength? Phooey. I can probably make mincemeat of him." Ross shows him the paper. "You may get your chance to prove those words. Here's a picture of the Hulk." The Thing's reaction isn't one of fear. Well, he sure ain't no beauty contest winner. "What makes him #1 on your hate parade all of a sudden?" the General says. "Our missile installations in the desert have been sabotaged, and he is the only one who could have done it. And where do we come in?" Still smoking his cigar, "I've come to enlist your help. I want you to find and destroy the Hulk." With his jaw open, the Thing looks at the picture of the Hulk, whose expression is blank as he processes what the General has told them. Part 2, Mission, Stop the Hulk. We see Ross standing in front of a projector screen. These are the most recent recorded moving pictures of the Hulk himself. They were taken by an automatic camera placed in the sighting device of a special cannon. Reed, Sue, and Thing are sitting on a couch with Johnny on fire sitting mid-air. Reed asks, "Well, I guess we're looking at proof positive that he does exist." Ross continues, showing them a picture of army men tending to wrecked equipment. And this is the cannon, 3 seconds later after the Hulk finished his savage onslaught. Only the film cartridge remained intact. Reed looks to his right. "Hold it, sir. Sue, where is she?" "Invisible," she replies. "Right here, Reed. Forgive me. The sight of that monster unnerved me so much I lost control of my visibility power." They both stand up and she's able to make her waist up visible again. He was the most terrifying creature I've ever seen," Thing replies. "Heck, seems to me I ought to be insulted. You've seen me, haven't you? What am I, a panty waist?"
Gamma wave!
A panty waist is a feeble or cowardly person.
Gamma tsunami!
The Thing continues, "If I ever get close enough to that oversized creep to grab him, I'll show you that you got nothing to worry about." We see in his imagination the Thing has grabbed the Hulk by the left leg in midair. After all, he may be a big, brainless, rampaging Hulk, but remember this, kiddies, there's only one thing. In the imagined scene, Thing has thrown Hulk into the ground with only his waist up, sticking up from the ground. Ablaze, flying around them, is Johnny. "I've got news for you, Gruesome. You probably won't get close enough to grab him. Not with the Human Torch around, buddy boy. Flame on! No matter where he goes or what he does, I'll encircle him with my flaming cylinder." A flaming cylinder is the Human Torch surrounding the Hulk in a giant fire coil. "And then I'll trap him in a fiery maze from which he'll never be able to escape." In the room, Reed stretches up and his arms around Johnny as he flies through. "Glad to hear such enthusiasm, boys, but don't forget that Mr. Fantastic will be there too. I'm not exactly without superpowers myself. In the unlikely event that the Hulk eludes the rest of you, there is one stunt I've been waiting to try. I would flatten my body up against the ceiling of a specially prepared room, wait for him to enter, whump! Reed drops down and encases the Hulk in his stretchy body with limbs and head being seen. And when he does, that's all, folks." With Thing, Sue, Ross, and Reed standing together, Sue says, "Looks as though I'll just be going along for the ride. I'm not sure how I can help." Ross responds, "Harumph, Miss Storm, a pretty young lady can always be of help, just by keeping the men's morale up." Reed agrees. "That's just the way we feel about Sue, General." Suddenly, Johnny's flames cut out. "Look out below, I'm falling!" The Thing reaches up to catch him. Relax, relax, I got him. Sue says, oh, Johnny, you forgot you mustn't keep your flame on too long. Johnny sits down to rest as Ross speaks with Reed. Don't you think that the Human Torch might be a little too young for such a dangerous mission, Mr. Fantastic? Reed responds, who, him? Don't let his age fool you, sir. That flame of his is one of our most potent weapons, as well as his mechanical skill. In fact, I'll give you a little demonstration. Johnny supports him. You tell him, Big Daddy. The group leaves to another room with a futuristic craft. Reed continues, Johnny has just finished modifying our Fantasticar. Here, I'll give you a little demonstration. Looking through the seats, the General responds, very impressive looking. Thing says, I still say they don't build them like they used to. They get closer and show off how the vehicle is modular and can break into 4 separate vehicles. Reed says, a number of our fans throughout the country had written to us saying the Fantasticar looked too much like a flying bathtub. And Johnny agreed with them. The General responds, tell me more about this thing. What's her top speed, her cruising range? Johnny answers, top speed's a secret, General, but it's faster than you'd expect. As for her cruising range, we've extended it to better than 3,000 miles, enough to take us clear across the USA. From behind the craft, the thing says, stop yakking and show the brass how all 4 sections can disengage and fly separately. And remember, that was my idea. Sue adds, as a matter of fact, why don't we use the Fantasticar now to fly to the missile area? We can take you with us, General. And so, a few hours later, we see the group in the combined Fantasticar with the General riding with Sue. The craft seems to be simultaneously pushing against gravity and in the opposite direction to propel itself. The General says, those jet prop under each small wing really hold this ship up smoothly. Uh-oh, here's something you hadn't counted on, a rainstorm. It begins to rain and Sue responds, we're prepared for that too, sir. At the flick of a button, the windshield rolls over and forms a transparent, waterproof, and bulletproof shield. Impressed, he says. I've got to tell Army Ordnance about this. Later, with exact flight time withheld at request of Reed Richards, at a large missile base in the southwest. Below, there's miscellaneous wreckage. The General explains, there's an example of the Hulk's work. Project 34, anti-grav missile, wrecked. Sue asks, but how can you be sure the Hulk did it? He answers, look at that tangled steel. No one else has the strength to do that. Immediately upon landing, General Ross calls a high-level conference. We see Ross, Reed, a purple-shirted man, Bruce Banner, Rick Jones, and a soldier guy guarding the door. Ross says, gentlemen, this is Reed Richards, known as Mr. Fantastic, representing the Fantastic Four. Bruce responds, I'm Dr. Bruce Banner, civilian scientific exec at the space. This is my assistant, Dr. Carl Court, and my young helper, Rick Jones. Hi, Carl says. Every minute counts, General. How does the Fantastic Four propose to catch the Hulk? Ross raises his fist and praises the question. That's the kind of talk I like. Action talk. Let's plan our campaign, Bruce asks. But General, I still maintain that the Hulk is not our man. All of our missile apparatus was destroyed from the inside out. I'm convinced a rampaging creature like the Hulk would have torn the devices from the outside in. Banner, I've told you our mission is to catch the Hulk. We'll listen to your theories after he's put out of action. Now you and Mr. Fantastic start putting those heads together. Reed shakes Bruce's hand. It'll be a pleasure to work with you, Dr. Banner. I've long been an admirer of your atomic research. Bruce responds, I'm highly flattered that the most brilliant scientific brain of our time should say that to me. Carl goes to the door. Well, you gentlemen won't be needing me for a while. I'll get back to my work. After he leaves the room, we see the Thing, an invisible Sue, and a fiery Johnny all leaning up against the door. The Thing says, hey Shorty, how much longer are they gonna keep us cooling our heels out here? What are you? Thing leans towards him. Smatter, ain't you never seen a Thing before? I'm getting fed up with you guys doing double takes every time they see me. Carl quickly lurches back, his wallet sticking out and ultimately falling out as he flees. Still against the wall, Johnny says, look at him go, I think you scared the poor guy out of a year's growth, Thing. Thing responds, and he can't spare it. Hey, he dropped his wallet. Johnny responds, relax, big fella, I'll get it for him. He puts one hand on his head while aiming the other arm at the wallet with sections of flames coming out that encircle the wallet. I've been wanting to try this flaming lasso trick since I dreamed it up. Like the namesake implies, it becomes a fiery rope to hold the wallet. Not bad, eh? And I didn't even singe the leather. From off-screen, Thing impatiently says, I ain't in the mood for tricks. They can't keep me waiting out here any longer. The Thing rips the door from the frame and the three enter the room. Thing says, okay, soldier boys, ready or not, here I come. Johnny flies up to the soldier. Easy with that chopper, Sarge. We're on your team. Sue tries to stop them. Thing, don't! It's a private meeting. Shocked Reed says, Thing, what are you doing? Have you lost your senses? Part 3, Who is the Wrecker? The room is in chaos. The broken door is on the floor. Ross has two fists in the air. Of all the blinkety-blink, what's going on here? Attention, all of you, that's an order. Reed, while using his powers to hold the Thing's arm, don't be alarmed, sir. I'll quiet them down. Let me handle this. The Thing explains the intrusion. We're the Fantastic Four, not the Fantastic One. I don't like being kept on the outside. An invisible Sue is grabbing the guard's gun. Give me that gun before somebody gets hurt. The guard panics. A voice from nowhere. The place is haunted. Johnny flies around the guard. Whee! About time we had a little action. Seconds later, after the excitement subsides, the enraged general points at the group. If you weren't civilians, I'd throw you all into the guardhouse. From behind, Bruce says, Easy, sir, they didn't mean any harm. They're here to help us, remember? The Thing walks up to the general. He's dang tootin' right, soldier boy. If we take off, who'll get that Hulk Joker for you? Unflinched, the general says. So far, my loudmouthed friend, you've done nothing but talk. Looks to me like you're afraid of the Hulk. In response, Thing goes to the bookshelf. Afraid of the Hulk, am I? He grabs several large books. I'll show you who's afraid of what. This is what I'll do to that oversized crumb bum when I get my hands on him. Rip! He rips the books in half all at once. Enraged, the general is held back by Reed, who's using his powers to reach to him. Oh no, the Big Ape ruined my bound set of telephone books. Of all the... Still holding the general, Reed says, Easy, General. We'll reimburse you for them, but you've got to watch what you say to the Thing. The general fumes. A fine kettle of fish this is. I've hired myself a bunch of blasted prima donnas. Bruce once again shakes Reed's hand. Mr. Fantastic, anything I can do to help you find the Wrecker, let me know. Reed asks, The Wrecker? Rick answers, That's our name for the saboteur. Sue says, Strange. Dr. Banner and Rick seem so sure that the Hulk isn't the guilty one. From behind, Bruce puts his hands on Rick's shoulders and whispers, Too bad we can't tell them why we're so sure the Hulk is innocent, eh, Rick? He whispers back, Yes, Doc. Johnny calls to Rick, Hey, Rick, I've got a wallet for you to return to someone. He flies to Rick, grabbing his hand. Startled, Rick says, Watch what you're doing, Torch. Johnny, however, had the flames in his hands retracted when he grabbed Rick's. Fooled you, huh? You thought you'd burn yourself, but I doused the flame in my hands. Holding his wrist with one hand, Rick looks at the wallet. Boy, you're just a bear of laughs, ain't ya? Triumphantly, Johnny puts his hands on his waist. Don't blame you for being impressed, son. He makes a lunging motion and blows flames from his fist and thinks, Look at him, green with envy. Trying not to admit he's overwhelmed by me. Unimpressed, Rick just stands there thinking, he wouldn't be so swell-headed if he knew I was the Hulk's partner. Later, unseen by the others, Rick Jones and Bruce Banner enter a secret underwater tunnel, only known to themselves. Rick, it's going to be up to us to find the Wrecker. I can't convince the others that the Hulk is innocent. Gosh, Doc, if only you could take the Fantastic Four into your confidence. Then, at Dr. Banner's private lab, the two are looking at a structure. Bruce says, Here it is, Rick, a scale model of my greatest work, Project 34, which the Wrecker destroyed. Rick asks, What's it supposed to do, Doc? Bruce explains, Placed at the center of a city, it would emit electromagnetic waves, blanketing the area. With the machine at the center of the city, we see waves and alternating white and yellow waves with enemy craft and weapons heading towards it, making any US city completely invulnerable to enemy missiles or rockets. Once I perfect it, it will be the perfect defense in a nuclear age. The enemy missiles and rockets explode on the waves. But the Wrecker, whoever he is trying to stop my work. And he's cleverly managed to make General Ross think the Hulk is the one behind the sabotage. Rick responds, By the way, the Torch gave me this wallet to return to Carl Court. I'll take it to him. Rick travels on foot back to the army base. As he heads to Carl's residence, he says, I sure hope the Hulk doesn't appear while the Fantastic Four are here. They might be too much for him to handle. Say, what's this card sticking out of Court's wallet? It looks like... He stops near a door. It is. It's a membership card in a subversive communist front organization. That means Carl Court must be a Red. Quietly from behind, Carl opens the door and sneaks behind him. Rick continues, I've got to tell the Hulk. He'll know what to do. Carl pulls a gun from his jacket. You're not telling anyone, you little snoop. He points it at Rick. So, you're in league with the Hulk, are you? Well. Now I'll be able to destroy him as well as Banner's Project 34. Taken aback, Rick says, You're the Wrecker. Part 4. The Hulk at last. With both arms in the air, General Ross yells at the Thing, who's bundled up in rocket sled X2A-17. Thing, get out of there. That rocket sled isn't ready for testing yet. It has some bugs we haven't been able to iron out. From the sled, he says, Relax, Napoleon. We just ironed them out for you. Besides, I always wanted to ride one of these kiddie cars. While working near the back, Reed says, I noticed the sled here, General, and saw what the problem was. I think I got it licked for you. Anyway, we'll know in a moment. Sue, directly behind the sled, says, All conditions are go, Reed, whenever Ben is ready. Johnny is touching the rail with a flaming hand, causing some smoke to come off of it. I checked all the rails and welded a few weak spots. Let her rip. From a distance, a sled is seen shooting forward. Wee woo! A bystander says, "Holy cow, that rocket sled wasn't supposed to be operational for at least 2 weeks." Another says, "That was before Mr. Fantastic got here. He straightened out those electric circuits like they were nothing." One technician on instruments says, "The thing's got her up to 50 Gs. One soldier using binoculars says, "It's impossible. Nothing can stand that pressure and not be flattened like a pancake." Another with binoculars says, "You kidding? I can see him laughing, and he seems to be whistling." But at that split second, 2 strange prongs reach out of the ground below and twist the sled's rails into shapeless mass. As the thing approaches, he says, "Whee! Ain't had so much fun since my last roller coaster at Coney. Up ahead, what's with those rails?" There's an off-screen crash. Wham! The thing launches upward. Yow! Reed calls out, "Torch, quick! There's been an accident." Johnny flies around from behind and towards him. "Way ahead of you, partner. I'm off. Flame on!" Using his fire propulsion, he makes it to the thing and grabs him by the ankle. "Phew! Never flew so fast in my life," Thing responds, thanking him. "Much obliged, kid. But don't let go. It's a long way down." Johnny, unable to easily hold the thing, tells him, "Thing, you're too heavy. Can't hold. Gotta spiral down. Only chance to break our fall. Reed, help! I'm gonna drop him." Reed inflates his body into a giant cushion. "I'm ready, Ben. Don't tighten up. Land as loose as you can." As Thing falls, he says, "This is gonna hurt you more'n me, pal." Seconds later, the thing is sitting on the ground with Reed and Johnny supporting him by the arms. Reed says, "Okay, big fella, everything's under control." Ross says, "But you men wrecked our rocket sled." Johnny responds, "You're batty. It was sabotaged, bud. The thing saw it." To the side, Sue calls for their attention. "Look, here comes Dr. Banner. He seems upset." Bruce pleads, "I need your help. Rick Jones is gone. I'm afraid the wrecker got him." Reed responds, "We were looking for you, too. Someone just sabotaged the rocket sled." Thing adds, "What's all this wrecker jazz? It's the Hulk, and we know it. No one but the blasted Hulk could be strong enough to twist those rocket sled tracks. And when I get a hold of him..." The Thing crushes some rocks in his hands. Bruce replies, "No, it isn't the Hulk, it's the wrecker. And if you don't give up the case, he'll harm Rick." From behind, Reed puts a hand on his shoulder and arm. "Dr. Banner, I don't understand. How do you know? What proof do you have?" "None. You just got to believe me." "How? How can I convince you?" Sue replies, "We can't give up a task just on your say-so." Bruce starts to walk away. Reed says, "Wait, I know you have more to tell us. Why don't you speak? What are you hiding?" Bruce looks down as he walks away and thinks, It's no use. How can I expect him to believe me when I can't tell him the whole truth? Thing says, "You know something? I don't trust that guy." Flying up, the Torch says, "Me neither." As Bruce walks to the desert, he looks at a piece of paper and thinks, I didn't dare show him this note I found near where Rick disappeared, but I can't just ignore it. It reads, "To the Hulk, Rick Jones is my prisoner. Unless you drive the Fantastic Four from this area, you will never see him again. The Wrecker." Minutes later, in his underground lab, known to Dr. Banner and Rick Jones, Bruce is already disrobed to his iconic purple shorts. He says, "There's no way I can make the Fantastic Four leave this area." Dramatically, the scientist removes his clothes and stands upon a sensitive, awesome device of his own design. "It is time for me to again activate the only machine on Earth that can duplicate the incredible gamma rays of my gamma bomb." He uses his big toe to press the button to start the process. Bzzzt. The light hits Bruce. He puts a hand over his throat. Although Bruce Banner cannot cope with the Wrecker, or the Fantastic Four, he begins to change, now bracing his neck with both hands. There is one who can. Then he's completely turned, and it is time for the Hulk to again walk the Earth. Meanwhile, the sinister Carl Court has also discovered the many underground catacombs beneath the desert testing area, and leads his teenage captive into one directly beneath his own laboratory. Carl slides down a pole as he points a gun at a bound Rick. "Walk straight ahead. I shall take you to a place where no one shall ever find you." Rick is forced to walk ahead of Carl. "You ain't gonna get away with this, Daddy-O. No matter where you take me, the Hulk will find me." "I beg to differ, my arrogant friend. I shall handle the Hulk as easily as I shall dispose of the Fantastic Four themselves." Some time passes. We are now directly beneath an old desert western ghost town. This shall be your home for a long time, possibly forever. Rick looks back at him. "Don't bet on it, Gramps." But others also know of the dark, rambling tunnels, and one of those is the Hulk. I ought to be under Project 34 pretty soon, and the Fantastic Four are sure to be somewhere around. But they won't be there for long, not after I get through with them. He gets to where the two tunnels become one, stopping short. Voices. "This is better than I expected. It's them. Coming right toward me." It's a Fantastic Four coming through the other tunnel, Thing says. I had a hunch there were tunnels under that rocket sled. The ground had a hollow sound under the rails. The Hulk must hide under there while the Soldier Boys search above. Hulk hides behind a wall as he sees the Thing and Torch go by. Thing says, I sure hope we find him soon. I'm just itching to tangle with that overrated creep. Torch says, I'll fly ahead and see if I can pick up his trail. And then, one of the most dramatic moments in the history of adventure fantasy occurs, as the Incredible Hulk suddenly hurls himself into the open, face to face with the mighty Thing. I'll crush you like a flea. It's him, the Hulk. Having the advantage of surprise, the Hulk gets in the first blow, a thundering left that could fell a bull elephant. But the Thing is merely toppled off balance for a second. Pow! The Thing is knocked off his feet. Arg! It's like hitting a stone wall. He's stronger than I thought. I'll have to... What's this? Another of the Fantastic Four? The flaming one. Torch flies to the Hulk. So, we found you at last, huh? Moving with unbelievable speed for one so huge, the Hulk scoops up a small mountain of sand and earth, covering the startled Torch with it and dousing his flame at the same time. No time to waste. Must beat you fast. Must find Rick. Hulk breaks to the surface with his arm and head sticking out. Now to find the last two members of the Fantastic Four and finish them off. Maybe they've reached the surface by now. He gets out completely and pushes down the earth to close the hole. First, I'll make sure that the Thing and Torch stay below for a while. But no matter how densely packed a portion of Earth may be, it can never stop the unbelievable, pliable limbs of Mr. Fantastic from finding their way through. Reed's elongated arms break through the packed dirt. The Hulk is just ahead of me. I can hear his thunderous strides. Using hearing alone, he wraps his arms around the Hulk's waist and grabs him by the shoulder. Got you. But even Mr. Fantastic is no match for the Hulk's ponderous strength, as the enraged creature breaks loose of Reed's twisting vine grip and goes into a seemingly mad rampage. All of the Fantastic Four are now above ground. Torch flies out of the hole. Nice digging, Thing. I knew the Hulk couldn't keep you down for long. Thing is still making his way out of the hole. Don't worry about him, kid. This time he ain't taking me by surprise. Sue is running in the opposite direction. Look out, he's going to hurl that wooden frame house at us. Reed's been knocked to the ground and, as Sue described, Hulk is grabbing a house to use it as a weapon. They've all gotten free, but I'll stop him with this. Still in the hole, the Thing blocks the house. Wham! Guess again, Buster. Those corny stunts won't impress the Thing. The Hulk starts to make leaps. Can't save Rick unless I can get rid of the Fantastic Four, but they're too powerful to beat all at once. Got to separate them. I'll leap into the air and flatten the Thing first, with a power dive. In mid-air, Reed uses his stretched-out torso to wrap around and catch the Hulk. No you don't, brother. This time I've got you. Yeah? Well, watch this. Like a living tornado, the Hulk spins himself around, causing Mr. Fantastic to unwind his body before the irresistible power of the incredible creature. But even as they land, a flaming, flashing, furious figure hurtles towards his mighty foe. Even you can't stop me now, Hulk. But the Hulk has one more power he can use, one that never fails to stop those who do not expect it. Hulk takes a wide X stance. Brace yourself for a little surprise, you flaming brat. So mighty are his arms that when he claps his hands together with full force, it has the effect of a supersonic boom shockwave. Here's a little lullaby from me to you. He performs his magnificent thunderclap. Whoom! Sue, Reed, and Torch are knocked down, with all but Sue seeming to be unconscious. Huh, that'll keep him out of action for a while. But where's the fourth one? Where's the Thing? Out of nowhere, Thing punches Hulk through a brick wall. Right here, Gruesome. There ain't a sound you can listen to that I can't handle also. In response, Hulk chucks a wagon at him, who ducks. Well, so Big Bad Hulk is throwing things, huh? That ain't gonna help you now. Hulk responds, anyone can fight with his mouth, but when I get my hands on you. And so the two human behemoths meet head on. As the very earth beneath their feet trembles from the impact, the two engage in a collar-to-elbow lockup like two professional wrestlers. Crash! Thing says, I've been looking forward to this for a long, long time. Hulk responds, now I've got you. Slowly, inexorably, the larger Hulk lifts up the raging Thing off his feet as the mind-staggering battle reaches its final climax. But then, in that instant, a strange atom-powered ray shoots out from the tunnel below and Thing, while being lifted into the air, goes to wind up his right hand. Don't move, mister. My pile driver punch is coming right at you. I'll smash you to the ground like a pancake. The beam takes effect. The Hulk falls to the ground, knocked out. Thing gets up in a daze. Hey, what happened? I didn't even land my last punch. I must be better than I thought I was. Sue says, Ben, it was some sort of ray from under the ground. I saw it strike the Hulk. Thing starts pulling the ground apart. Crack. Rumble. What? You mean someone's trying to cheat me out of my victory? Out of my way. I'll take care of him, no matter who he is. When he gets down to the tunnel, he's joined by an invisible Sue and a mech with a shovel hand. Thing says, Holy Hannah, a giant robot. That guy Banner was right. It wasn't the Hulk who was doing the damage. This must be the Wrecker's machine. He punches through it. Correction, that was the Wrecker's machine. Thing goes up to the metal door. The Wrecker must be behind this iron door, but he ain't gonna be there for long. He tackles the door. Smash. Sue, already invisible, says, I'd better become invisible and go with you. Once again, Thing is greeted with Carl pointing a ray gun at him, with Sue invisibly behind him. Carl Court, so you're the Wrecker. Don't worry, Rick, you'll be okay now. Carl, still pointing the gun, says, It is you who should worry, Thing. This atomic-powered weapon will destroy you completely now that I have set it to full intensity. Still tight in the corner, Rick says, Look out, it's a ray gun he hit the Hulk with. Carl tries to shoot, but Sue knocks it downward, making the gun shoot into the ground. Bzzzt. Well, he'll never aim that horrible device at another living being. What? What happened? Thing holds Carl up by his collar, having dropped the gun. Buster, what's happened ain't nothing to what's gonna happen to you. A now visible Sue is untying a standing Rick. Don't hurt him, Ben. The general will want him for questioning. Thing holds Carl up by the back of his shirt. Rotten low-down spy. I'd like just 2 minutes alone with him. Rubbing his wrists, Rick says, You know something, Thing? You're a pretty right guy after all. Reed and Torch enter. Torch says, There they are, Reed. Reed says, We found the robot you smashed, Thing, so we figured, Say, what are you doing with Dr. Court? Carl has his arms behind him, tied up. Thing answers, Doctor, meet the Wrecker, kiddies. Reed walks up to Carl. So, you were the one sabotaging Bruce Banner's city defense ray. I suppose it was easy for you to throw blame on the Hulk by using that monstrous robot of yours. Thing adds, Sure, everyone figured nobody but the Hulk could do that much damage. Except in me, of course. Sue puts her hand over her mouth in shock, but where is the Hulk? Even as Sue speaks, the Incredible Hulk's mighty body recovered from the effects of the spy's ray gun, and he rubs his head. Can hear him talking. Under my feet. Caught the Wrecker. Rick is safe. With one gigantic leap, the mightiest legs on Earth send the Hulk soaring upward. Still weak from the ray, no reason to hang around. Gotta change back to Bruce Banner. He arrives back to the underwater cave. Don't want the Thing to find me till I get my full strength back. Wouldn't stand a chance against him now. A few minutes later, the group is above ground. They're searching for the Hulk, Sue says. No sign of the Hulk, Reed says. In a way, I'm glad. It means he's recovered from Quart's ray gun and left under his own power. Rick turns his back to him, covering his mouth with a hand to hide a smile while thinking, must have gone to change back to Bruce Banner. And, before long, Bruce, General Ross, and his men have made it to the group. Bruce goes right up to Rick. Rick, you're all right. Hey, Bruce. Sure, I'm in the pink.
Gamma wave!
In the pink means to be in very good health and spirits.
Gamma tsunami!
As General Ross gets out of the jeep, he says, Well, I see you found our saboteur, eh? Reed answers, Yes, General, and Dr. Banner was right. It was Carl Court, not the Hulk. Thing asks, Then what the heck was I fighting the Hulk for? An army man takes Carl away as Bruce shakes Reed's hand. Reed, I'm grateful for your help. Hope we can meet again sometime, under better circumstances. So do I, Bruce. I've got a feeling there's a lot more we have to talk about, like you and Rick and the Hulk, for instance. Once alone, Rick asks Bruce, Think he suspects Doc? Hard to tell with a brain like Reed Richards. I'm kinda glad he's on our side. The Fantastic Four line up in front of the General. Torch says, Well, guess we'll be shoving off. General says, Not just yet, if you please. There's a little ceremony I'd like to have you attend, in your honor. And for the first time, an honor guard of the nation's top fighting men passes in review at the Vital Missile Base for a group of civilians. But civilians such as the world has never known. Civilians known as the Fantastic Four. The next day, as the Fantastic Car heads for New York, a mighty figure stands alone on a hilltop, watching it with unblinking eyes. Hulk waves and says, They're leaving, but I got a feeling this ain't gonna be the last time we'll meet. Will the Hulk again meet the Fantastic Four? Only time will tell, but one thing is certain. Next issue, the fabulous foursome meet the Red Ghost, one of the most powerful supervillains of all. Reserve your copy now. The end. After the break, we'll go over some thoughts and feelings about the issue.
What's happening to me?
My darling boy, my Bruce, don't be afraid. Scientists aren't supposed to fear evolution.
This may be the first and so far only Fantastic Four comic I've ever read. The point of these crossover comics is to make you interested in a new series. I'm a Hulk fan and I read it because he's guest starring in it. However, if it wasn't in an Epic collection, I might not have known about it, and it doesn't really move any stories along, so it doesn't feel like required reading. For a Fantastic Four fan, you'll read it because you read the last issue and you're following along with the series. Getting a taste of the Hulk in this way reminds me of an episode of The Simpsons, A Stars Burns, where there's a film festival where they meet Jay Sherman, who's the main character of his own show, The Critic. At the end of the episode, Jay basically offers to have them on his show, to which Bart flatly turns down. The creator of The Simpsons, Matt Groening, heavily criticized the episode, calling it a 30-minute advertisement for The Critic. Unable to have the episode pulled, he refused to have his name in the credits. To his point, it's kind of true, and that definitely feels like the point of these team-up comics, unless it serves a larger story. Sure, the next time they meet, they can refer to this issue or call upon the Hulk and vice versa, since they know each other when encountering a foe that's just too strong. Part 1 was just pure setup and only showed Fantastic Four characters along with General Ross. It's a fun idea to have Army men mistake the Thing for the Hulk, which really set up for their one-on-one battle later on. It'd be cool to see them develop more of a rivalry in this era when the Hulk isn't crazy overpowered. I'm sure current day Hulk would just be too much for the Thing. It was fun to see Reed, Thing, and Torch's imaginary scenes where they all beat up the Hulk in their own ways in Part 2. I get that Sue was scared of the Hulk, but it felt lame that they ended up saying she's there to keep up the men's morale. Luckily, in Part 3, it was the shortest since it just showed how chaotic the Fantastic Four can be and revealed to the reader who the Wrecker is and set up the stakes for the last part. The beginning of the last part was interesting because you get to see Torch and Reed use their powers to save the Thing. It was way cooler to see Hulk fighting the individual members of the Fantastic Four. Hulk is smart enough to know that I won before would be unwinnable, so he went to separate the members. I've always enjoyed the usage of the Thunderclap and other dumb things like spinning to break free of Reed. Again, I'd love to see more of Hulk vs. Thing. Hulk is known for his powerful legs and his jumps, looking like he's basically flying, so it'd be cool to see him launch the both of them into the air and as they fall back to the ground to crash on the Thing, reflecting on how Reed and Torch saved him from a similar incident earlier in the issue. Or you could subvert that and have Thing finesse the brutish Hulk and swap positions before the crash, having the Thing be safe and Hulk in the crater. What do you think? Did you read the comic? Did I get something wrong? If I do and you guys let me know, I'll include a correction section in the next episode and I'll credit the user. Let's continue the discussion on social media and the YouTube VOD. You can find me at Manjame Thunder on Twitter and at Team_Thunder on YouTube. If you're looking for another podcast to listen to and you're a Spider-Verse fan, then check out Accelerated Visions, a Spider-Man 2099 podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and anywhere you can find podcasts. If DC is more your thing and you want to hear about Aquaman, King of the Seven Seas, check out Water Damage, an Aquaman podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and anywhere you can find podcasts. Be sure to follow those in this podcast to get episodes as soon as they drop. Manjame out.
What time up mean?